If you are a woman living her best hot mess express life while simultaneously crushing it, and you're craving more clarity, purpose, and excellence, get ready because you're in the right spot. I am your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, and I want to welcome you to Season 2 of All Things Excellence, the podcast, where I'll be bringing you all the inspiration and insights your excellence-seeking heart desires. This season, I'm stepping back into chasing big, bold, and absolutely terrifying goals, sharing every honest step and misstep along the way. We're continuing our beloved Unscripted series, featuring live clarity coaching sessions with guests just like you, and diving deep into raw behind-the-scenes stories of powerhouse women founders I am wildly obsessed with, whose journeys will fuel your own. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam. If you have been here a little while or even listened to a single other episode, then you know I am not only the host of the podcast All Things Excellence, but I also am the founder of this beautiful growth collective called The Book Club. While we do have a new book that we read every single month, just think of it like an anchor to our growth, right? It's this thing that's bringing us together. Some people may read the book, some people may not read the book. It doesn't matter. We get on a couple Zooms a month to talk about the book, to see what comes up, and I also do live small group coaching within the book club. It's this community where like-minded iron sharpening iron women come together to just help each other grow into the best versions of themselves. It's that place where you're like, I'm a growth-minded woman and I'm looking for friends who are also growth-minded women. Some are entrepreneurs, some work in the corporate world, some are stay-at-home moms, but everybody has this one thing in common, that they want to grow and they want to strengthen their skills and who they are as a person and become the best versions of themselves. So that's what we all have in common. Now, the book club kicked off last month, and we kicked off with the book, The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. And what happens in the book club, we do have 2 Zooms where I bring my top moments that I've read out of the book, and we discuss them as a whole. We talk about what comes up for people. Again, we have coaching about anything that comes up, some clarity coaching that I do for people inside of that book club on that monthly Zoom. But I decided to honor the fact that last month was our very first month and our first book. I thought I would bring the top 10 mic drop moments I personally had when I read the book, The Mountain Is You, to you listeners here on the podcast, to give you just a little peek inside what happens in the book club. That again, even if you can't read the book, it's worth being a part of. It's the easiest $17 a month you're ever going to spend. And even, again, you don't read the book, you can still show up and you can get the insights. So again, The Mountain Is You, written by Brianna Wiest. Something to know about this book. It's about transforming self-sabotage into self-mastery. Brianna used to write for magazine articles, online magazine articles. So she's very much a short form writer. So the cool thing about this book, I think anybody could get it. It's available on Amazon. We'll put the link down in the show notes. I think anyone could get it, and you don't even have to read it cover to cover. What you really could do with this book is you could open it every single day and just read that one little segment. Again, it's like 1,000 little magazine articles pumped into one book. So inspiring. It's one of those books that is forever going to come out with me on my patio day to day, just so I can close my eyes, flip it open, see what section of the book I flip to, and just see what in the world does God have for me today that he wants me to read in this tiny little section. So again, y'all, I'm going to bring you the top 10 mic drop moments I felt that hit me the most when I read this book. So first up, flipping to page 6. Okay. She talks about your mountain requires you to reconcile 2 parts of you, the conscious and the unconscious. The part of you that is aware of what you want, and the part of you that is not aware of why you are still holding yourself back. So much of this book is about that. It's about helping you dig in, figure out what you want out of life, but also helping you figure out what are all the tiny little things going on in your life, the blind spots you might not be aware of that are holding you back from stepping into the greatest version of yourself. The objective of being human is to grow. Maybe you know what your mountain is. Maybe it's addiction, weight, relationships, jobs, motivation, or money, and maybe you don't. So that is just talking about, the reason I love that is because it's really explaining what is the mountain. Like the book, The Mountain Is You, she's talking about the mountain are really these things that are are standing in your way and this mountain that you have to scale in life, and that we all have these mountains and we're going to have a million mountains in our lifetime, but it's figuring out what is the mountain that is currently ahead of you right now. The second mic drop moment that I loved in page 22, she talked about grabbing a piece of paper, write down every single thing that you're not happy about. Get really specific, every single problem you face. If you're struggling with finances, you need a very clear picture of what's wrong. You also probably need to listen to our Financial Friday series that's dropping every Friday in October and November in our podcast. You need to write down every debt, every bill, every asset, every bit of income. If you're struggling with self-image, write down exactly what you dislike about yourself. If it's anxiety, write down everything that bothers or upsets you. You can make peace or you can make the commitment to change. The lingering is what is keeping you stuck. If you are living in denial, you need to get into clarity about what's really wrong. Now, inside of the book club, what we did was we pulled out what I call the 8 areas of alignment, and we did a miniature alignment edit. An alignment edit is this series of coaching that I offer to my coaching clients, where we dive into these 8 areas of alignment in your life and go, what do you really want this to feel like? What do you want these areas to look like? And I love helping people with this. It's a tool that helps me help you get really clear on the life that you want to live and make sure that the life you are living is in alignment with everything that you are and everything that you want and everything that you desire, and then giving you a little bit of accountability on your way towards working for that. So we did a little mini alignment edit inside of the book club in this section. Again, an alignment edit is something that you can hop over to my website, chelseadbc.com, and it's a coaching series that we can do together. But she said, it's when you say to yourself, I never want to feel this way ever again. When you decide you truly do not ever want to feel a certain way again, you set out on a journey of self-awareness, learning, and growth that has you radically reinvent who you are. In that moment, fault becomes irrelevant. You're no longer mulling over who did what or how you've been wronged, because in that moment, only one thing guides you, and it's this: no matter what it takes, I will never accept my life getting to this point again. And that's after taking that piece of paper, writing down everything that you aren't happy with and all of the details around it, looking at it, full ownership, full self-accountability, releasing fault, and making that decision, drawing a line in the sand and saying, I will never accept my life getting to this point ever again. The next section that I loved is on page 25, 26. She talks about, the section is preparing for radical change, right? So we've acknowledged the fact that these are the areas of my life I absolutely hate and I never want to live them again. She says we reach a breaking point when we finally accept that the problem isn't how the world is, it's how we are. You must find the purest form of being fed up. Make it hurt. She goes, I literally screamed, I do not want to fucking live like this. Sorry if you have kids in the car. Ever again, anymore. I'm never going to live like this anymore. Get angry, determined, and allow yourself to develop tunnel vision with one thing and one thing only at the end, that you will not go on as you are. Y'all can see, as an alignment and clarity coach, why I so quickly became massively obsessed with this book. One of the biggest reasons that people avoid doing important internal work is they recognize that if they heal themselves, their lives will change, sometimes drastically. And if they come to terms with how unhappy they are, it means that they will have to temporarily be more uncomfortable, ashamed, or scared while they start over. I'll tell you, there is this saying that I know I'm in hell, but the streets' names are familiar here. And we see so many, I feel personally, like we see so many people in the world stay here and live here because it is more comfortable to live in complete chaos than it is to change your life and live in this new world of uncertainty to go after the life that you really want. And y'all, that's why we see so many people just keep doing the do, even though they're miserable. She said, the people who are meant for you. So she said, your new life is going to cost you your old one. It'll cost you your comfort zone and your sense of direction. It's going to cost you relationships and friends. It's going to cost you being liked and understood, but it doesn't matter. The people who are meant for you are going to meet you on the other side. You're going to build a new comfort zone around things that actually move you forward. And instead of being liked, you're going to be loved. And instead of being understood, you're going to be seen. And all you're going to lose is what was built for a person that you no longer are. Because remaining attached to your old life is the first and final act of sabotage. And releasing it is what we must prepare for to truly be willing to see real change. Recently, Kobe and I did a podcast episode where we talked about some stuff that caused a little friction with friends from a different area of his life, when he was younger, living back home. And they, were, of course, interesting about it, made comments on things and disliked videos and things like that, thinking that that matters or it gives them power, I guess, because they didn't like what we were saying. And I felt bad for him. And he said, don't feel bad, not for a single moment. He goes, the reason that I'm not friends with those people anymore, the reason that I'm not in those group chats with those people anymore is because anytime somebody that we grew up with tries to do something different than the norm to change their life, to do something really good for their life, they always have so much negativity and so many nasty things about them to say. And he goes, and that is exactly why they are not my friends anymore. And I don't care what they say. Like, they're dumb, they're idiots. And, I think coming from an Enneagram 9 peacemaker, it was the most beautiful thing that I could hear. That even he realized that there were these people in his life that he had to release along the way because they would only be happy if he stayed mentally as small and restricted as them. That anybody that tried to step out and do something different, something out of the norm, they weren't there to be their biggest cheerleaders. They were there to be their biggest critics. And those are not friends. And I love that when she brings this up, it's like you're going to lose friends when you make the decision to step into the best version of yourself. But I promise you, when you get to where you're going, when you get on the other side of that mountain and you look back and it's so far behind you, they are the last thing that you were ever going to think about. One of the things that she talks about in this book is that the real flex is when you can turn around and it's so far behind you, they are so far behind you, you forgot they ever even existed. Mic drop number 4 is on page 41. She talks about disorganization. By leaving our lives and spaces in disarray, we are not just mindlessly forgetting to take care of our surroundings, we are often actually creating distractions and chaos that serve as unconscious unconscious purpose. She says everything should have a home that it can return to at the end of the day. Without cleanliness, we create fewer opportunities for ourselves. Nothing positive nor beautiful flows from chaos. And deep down, we know this. Often when we are self-sabotaging through disorganization, it is because when we are very clean or organized, we get an uneasy feeling. And that uneasy feeling is what we're trying to avoid, because it is the recognition that now that everything is in order, we must get to work on doing what we need to do or who we want to become. Recently, I left my office just kind of like a chaotic disaster for a couple weeks. And I can tell y'all it was because I did a networking event and I got these leads. I didn't know what I wanted to say to the leads. I didn't know what results I wanted from the leads. Like, I'd been in this land of indecision about this other business that I have and trying to decide, where do I really want to take it? What goals do I really want to have with it? Like, I'm loving the book club. I'm loving my coaching and just deciding emotionally where I wanted to go with that. And my emotional indecision around what I wanted to do with that business as a whole was trickling into leaving my office look chaotic. So when I walked in, the last thing that I would really see was the giant bag of leads sitting on my desk that absolutely needed to be contacted. So when we leave our spaces messy, we are always a few tasks or priorities away from stepping out and showing up. So start arranging your space so it works for you, not against you. Mic drop moment number 5 on page 43. You determine what you want and then you outgrow your old ambitions. She said sometimes your dreams for your life are adopted from other people's preferences. In other cases, you determine what you want and then you outgrow your old ambitions. When you find yourself struggling with something, you have to ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? Do I want the job? Or do you just like how the title sounds? I had a coach one time actually that said to me, do you want their path or do you just want their energy? And I was like, hot dang girl, like I don't even want their energy. I just want their vacations, to be real. Like, no, I don't want their job. I don't want their hours. I don't want what they're doing. I literally just want their vacations. And that was something that I really had to own. And I think that's what she's saying here. It's like, do you actually want this? Do you want the job, or do you like how the title sounds? Are you in love with the person, or do you like the idea of the relationship? Are you still holding out to an outdated idea of what your greatest success will be? And if so, what would it look like to let go of that? She said, at the end of the day, self-sabotage sometimes functions to show us that we aren't quite on the right path yet. So be willing to accept that maybe your success story doesn't look the way you thought it might. When we are willing to let go of what isn't right for us, we create space to discover what is. However, doing so requires tremendous courage to put our pride aside and see things for what they really are. A phrase that I learned in my when I worked with the John Townsend Company, when I was in his leadership program, they would always say you need to get really grounded in reality as to what's happening around you and with the situation. And I think that's that. It's like when we get really grounded in reality as to the situation and we ask ourselves, is this really right for us, or is this something that we also need to release? Real quick, before we dive back in, I want to share something I created for the women who are growing but still kind of feel like they're doing it alone. If that statement just hit, then this is for you. I've never felt so aligned and so alone. It's the message I kept hearing as more and more women were falling in love with their life doing what they were born to do. They were craving that like-minded, iron sharpening iron relationship with other women who were as focused, powerful, and determined to be positive as they were. And that is why I created the Growth Collective. It's our All Things Excellence book club community where you don't have to read the book because audio and PDF cliff notes are provided for you. There's a community for you to connect and network with other growth-minded women, plus 2 monthly Zooms where you receive connection and live coaching from me. Head on over to chelseadbc.com/book club to join us. All right, let's get back into it, because what you're hearing today is exactly why spaces like the Growth Collective exist. We were never meant to grow alone. All right, moving on to mic drop moment number... I feel like I said that was number 6, but this is number 6. I don't really know. I lost track of what I was mentally saying, but I do have sticky notes that are numbered. So here we go. Mic drop moment number 6, identifying your subconscious commitments. I'm going to say this section of the book is the section of the book that actually changed my life the most. It talked about identifying your subconscious commitment and then also identifying your core need. Your subconscious commitments are basically what you want more than anything else, and you often aren't even aware of them. You can identify your core commitments by looking at the things you struggle with most and the things that you're most driven by. If you peel back the layers, you'll find a root cause. And when you find the root cause for everything, you'll find your core commitment. People only seem irrational and unpredictable until you understand what they're fundamentally committed to. She said your core need is the opposite of your core commitment. Your core need is also another way to identify your purpose. Basically, I discovered that my core need, like my core basic need, is freedom and autonomy. The ability to be able to do whatever I need to do whenever I want to do it. And she says that once you identify your core need, your subconscious commitment will protect that core need at all costs. So for me, if my core need is freedom and autonomy, being able to be free, being able to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, always making sure I put myself in situations where no one is controlling me, but I'm only in control of my own destiny, the subconscious commitment that my brain has made is I will protect my freedom and autonomy at all costs. Now, when I discovered this and unpacked this, it actually led to a really interesting discussion in our house because we talked about jobs, especially jobs, relationships, situations, and things where when I started feeling very claustrophobic in the job, the relationship, whatever, and I felt like it was like merging in on my freedom and autonomy. Like if there's somebody who's really intrusive and they feel like they need to know all the details of my life and they need to know why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and they're constantly asking me why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, I don't feel like they're questioning me and who I am. I do not feel that, but I do feel like they're being really nosy and intrusive, and that just like that for me, it 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 just digs at my, I do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. I feel like they're trying to back me in a corner and get me to say things that I'm doing or that I would do, and then I'm stuck and I'm committed to those things and I can't change those commitments. Or it's like they back me in the corner of like, well, this is who you said that you were, and that goes against what you said that you are. Like a lot of times, we'd be eating Whole30, or I say like we live a pretty much 80% Whole30 life most of the time. And then somebody will go, oh my gosh, but you ordered tacos last night. Yeah, I said 80% of the time. And thanks for being the police, keeping record of what I'm doing in my life. So when people, and when I read this book, I realized the reason that bothers me so much is because it's bumping in that freedom and autonomy. And again, my subconscious commitment is I will protect my freedom and autonomy at all costs, which includes ending relationships, leaving jobs, getting fired from a job because I don't like it, and I'll just be miserable and make everyone else miserable and just be like, just fire me now because I can't quit. But you can fire me if you would like to. All right, mic drop moment number 7. Most of the anxiety you experience in life is the result in inefficient critical thinking skills. Y'all, I will say this one more time. Most of the anxiety you experience in life is the result in inefficient critical thinking skills. When anxiety is chronic, it begins to interfere with day-to-day functioning and it becomes a clinical disorder. When we understand the importance of speaking about mental health with the same degree of legitimacy as physical health, however, in the same way that we would question when someone keeps tripping over something and repeatedly spraining their ankle, a lot of anxiety is similarly circumstantial as many illnesses are. Specifically, anxiety tends to be the result of an inability to process acutely stressful and ongoing circumstances. Now, as somebody who I've had anxiety from time to time in my life, I can even own that. I can own that when my critical thinking skills, especially on a certain topic, are low, my anxiety tends to be high. When my critical thinking skills, maybe in life because I'm hormonal, or it's a certain area that I don't feel I'm an expert in, when those critical thinking skills in that area are low, my anxiety tends to be high. I loved how she said this. It was a mic drop moment for me. It was, my husband's in education. It was a big conversation for us because we talk about this a lot, how kids are losing their critical thinking ability more and more as time passes because we're relying more on technology. Things don't have to be figure outable because they just like microwave the answer on the internet. But then when they're faced with real life situations, which for him as a soccer coach is on the field, do I kick to the left? Do I kick to the right? Do I hold on to the ball or do I get rid of the ball? Because they're not having to use their critical thinking skills in day-to-day life. They're just asking all the different devices that we have. It's harder for them when they're faced in situations like that, which is simple in sports, but then also it's slipping then in other areas of life. So just an interesting thought to have, guys. Just think about it. Okay, mic drop moment number 8. What leaves the path is clearing the path. There is nothing that you can do to win someone or something that is not meant to be yours. If there's one quote I wish I could have read a decade ago and I could have got it instantly, it would have been that one. There is nothing you can do to win someone or something that is not meant to be yours. Now, maybe you listened to last Wednesday's episode where we talked with my therapist. Maybe you didn't. But if you did, you know why this quote punched me in the face, and I wish that I would have had it a decade ago. What isn't right for you will never remain in your life. There's no job, person, or city you can force to be right for you if it's not, though you can pretend for a while. You can play games with yourself, you can justify and make ultimatums. You can say you'll try just a little longer, and you can make excuses for why things aren't working out right now. But the truth is that what is right for you will come to you and stay with you. And it won't stray from you very long. The truth is that when something is right for you, it brings you clarity. And when something is wrong for you, it brings you confusion. You get stuck when you try to make something that's wrong for you right. When you try to force it in a place in your life which it doesn't belong. You get split, you breed this internal conflict that you can't resolve. The more it intensifies, the more you mistake it for passion. How could you ever feel so strongly about something that isn't right. You can because you use your mind to get attached. You can fall in love with potential as opposed to reality. And a delusion can be a very compelling thing. The truth is that what is not right for you will never remain with you. You can feel it. It's why you have to grip so hard and with so little give. The things that are right for you can be free from you. You don't have to convince them that they are right. You don't have to line up the evidence as though you're pleading your case. Sometimes we get lost in old dreams. We get lost in the lives others wanted us to have. We get stuck on what we thought we should be and what we assumed we should have. The truth is that we do not want what is not right. For us, we just are simply attached. We're simply afraid, and we're simply stuck in the assumption that nothing better will replace it, that its absence will open up a well of endless, infinite suffering for which there will be no solution. We do not want what is not right for us. We are just too scared to let go of what we believe will make us secure. Y'all, pages 150 to 153 were my personal favorite parts of this book. I should probably read them over and over again every single day because that specific line, that we are simply stuck in the assumption that nothing better will replace it and that its absence will open up a well of endless, infinite suffering for which there is no solution. I feel that so deeply to my soul. She says, what is not right for you does not remain with you because you don't want it and so you don't choose it. I would buy the book and read the book purely for that section alone. Okay. Mic drop moment number 9. Mostly, this is about recognizing that you were not your best self before. So remember, the next time you're trying to craft a glow-up story that is compelling to others, ask yourself, why are you still waiting for their approval? And the answer almost always is that you still do not have the approval of your own. Because it is finally feeling so content and hopeful about your future that you stop thinking about other people entirely. Because the real glow up isn't proving the people from your past. It is feeling so content you stop thinking about them completely. That's mic drop moment number 9. Mic drop moment number 10. Worrying is chief among the coping mechanisms people use to distract themselves from what really matters. Over time, you convince yourself that worrying equals being safe. You think that by running worst case scenarios through your head again and again and again, that you will be better prepared. And this is false. You're just draining your energy imagining situations that are often completely manufactured. Finding inner peace is just connecting to your deepest wisdom. It's not something you have to create, justify, imagine, or reach for. It's always within you. It's always an option, and it's constantly a choice. You just have to make it. Y'all, I feel like ending with this is so perfect for me because I think that one of the greatest things that you can do are create some inner peace anchors. And I have 2 inner peace anchors. I know y'all have heard me say them before if you've ever listened to this podcast. And one is God loves me and everything goes my way, even if I don't quite see it yet. It's believing in the fact that even if everything looks like a complete disaster, knowing that I just can't see the end game and that the universe always loves me and always works everything out for my good. And then the other mantra that I use is only good things happen to me. And even when I was in a car accident a few months ago, I remember standing on the side of the street, waiting for the police officer to come, having my husband come pick up my dad and my sister-in-law. My family was in town on vacation and my car got hit. And it was like we couldn't open the back hatch of the car, which is really inconvenient when you need to return 4 people to the airport. So there was just a lot of inconvenience that came with this. And the fact that Kobe's car is like an around town car, and this is the car that's the out of town car. And so it's like we wanted to go be driving all over Arizona and we couldn't. And I remember standing on the side of the road saying, God loves me and everything goes my way, even if I don't quite see it yet. And only good things happen to me. Even if I'm having a really hard time figuring out why me getting the back end of my car crunched in right around the corner from my house on the way to taking my dad and my sister-in-law to their wellness appointment is good. I just know that only good things happen to me and that eventually something will come and I'll figure out like how this is actually for me. And eventually it all spun out and it all worked out and it was all great and wonderful. And keeping those anchors, keeping those positivity anchors for me, what that does is it also helps me avoid catastrophic thinking, right? So inner peace anchors, these inner peace mantras, it helped me from getting stuck in that downward spiral that a lot of people can tend to get stuck in when things like that happen. Like, oh, things like this always happen to me. Oh, I can't catch a break. Or, then they become obsessive with all of the mountains that they're trying to climb and getting that. And it took a month for them to even look at my car because of her car insurance. It took another month for my car to get fixed. So like externally, people would look at that and go, oh my gosh, you spent a lot of time on the phone. Her car insurance was really hard to work with. It took forever. There were parts of my job that I couldn't even be doing because of this situation with my car. But then we had a rental for a month, so I didn't have my car for a month. But what I will tell you all is when we didn't have my car for a month, we got to have this truck. We went to get a rental vehicle, and they had no cars available because it was dead middle of summer. But there was a truck because they needed to give me something comparable to my giant SUV. But there was a 4-door GMC Sierra truck, like brand new 4-door GMC Sierra truck. And it was even in white. And what you all don't know is that Kobe had been talking about for weeks about how this was his dream vehicle, that this is the next vehicle that he wants. And when the kids were here on vacation, this is the irony of this. The kids are here on vacation. They would scream and yell out, "There's Uncle Kobe's truck. There's Uncle Kobe's truck." I mean, these little suckers like almost willed it into the universe that we had to get rid of my car for a month so Kobe could drive his dream truck for a month to see if this is really the truck that he wanted, which he loved it. He enjoyed it. And now he's just trying to decide if he wants that or if he wants the one a little bit smaller than it, because it definitely did not fit into our garage. So we either need a smaller truck or a bigger garage, So we'll keep you posted on how that sorts out. But within that, those inner peace anchors, just keeping me focused and remembering that only good things happen to me, that God is always for me, that even if I can't quite see it yet, that all things are working out for my good. You guys, that's looking at life and realizing that life is full of mountains. And that's what this book is about. Life is full of mountains. We're constantly climbing. So you can choose to sit around and complain about the mountains that are in front of you, or you can look at the mountains in front of you and just know that on the other side, when you're walking down, you're going to be so much stronger than the person that you were that looked at the mountain at the other side that they had to climb. And I think it's just that. I think it's looking at life. And my mom always had a saying that you can lie to yourself negative or you can lie to yourself positive. You might as well choose positive, because whatever you're saying to yourself is how you're choosing to see the situation. And that's the environment that we were raised in, that we looked at. And so I think that's, why my brothers and I, we just choose to see that everything is always happening for us, because you can say that the world is against you, or you can say that the world is for you. Regardless, it's how you're choosing to look at the world. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. I want you to know that's what we do inside of the book club. We jump on the Zoom, we share our recap moments, but then we get really deep into why are those moments coming up for us? Like, what is this book sparking in us? And then, of course, I do live coaching with everybody that's there. So we have this group live coaching thing that's going on, and it's so good because the book brings up so much. And then also it's the community, right? And that was my deepest desire, was to build and create and design this community where like-minded women wanted iron sharpening iron relationships, to step into the best versions of themselves, to find the friends that they've been praying for, that they've been hunting for, that they've been looking for, that probably most likely don't live in their backyard, might live across the country, but they are the friends that they've been looking for, those biggest raving fans that they need. So I hope you look at the book club. Even if you only join us for 1 month, we'd love to have you. I promise it is a $17 well worth it. This month we are on a financial mindset focus, and we are reading Rewire for Wealth. It is by Barbie Houston, and we would love to have you in the club. Our first Zoom is next week, so hopefully we will see you there. Thank you again, All Things Excellence fam, for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.